Hello, beautiful people. I am so excited for yet another chakra chat as we move up through the energy bodies and really start to understand mindful lifestyle and mindful living, which it's a conversation that I'm so thrilled to be having with so many amazing beings. And this week I'm introducing the beautiful Leticia, and this is a gorgeous woman that I met in London about a year ago, give or take. And the gorgeous Leticia has a stunning coaching business. But what I've really come to admire as I've watched her journey grow over the last year is that her branding is now so specific, and yet also really inviting. So you've done an amazing job of making it both narrow and yet also really approachable. And I love that. And I think that is so relatable to expression and creative expression and really understanding your message. And this is all related to the throat chakra. So it is my absolute divine pleasure to welcome Leticia to this gorgeous Mind Interiors chakra chat. And yeah, welcome, beauty, welcome. I'm excited to talk about you and your business and your soul mission and how it all came about and how certainly you've refined your message.
Thank you so much for having me, Stacey. It's so just lovely to be here and also to be talking about this topic, because it has been a very clear intention of mine, which is it's so beautiful to be able to share it all with you today.
Beautiful. I love even those two words, clear intention. Wow. So exciting. And I think it's just really important to do a quick introduction of who Mind Interiors is, so that when your tribe listen, they have an understanding of where all of this information is coming from. So at Mind Interiors, I am the soul sanctuary interior designer. I transform lives by transforming spaces that infuse your own unique personality and your soul essence into your holistic home. I really believe that owning our personality and living in a home that lights us up and really connects us to our soul essence is completely important for our personal growth and for renewing our energy bodies. And so that's why I'm so guided to really speak about mindful, conscious living and creating lifestyles that really allow us to blossom and grow. And part of that is our businesses as well. So yeah, brilliant. Leticia, I would love to just start at the beginning, because I feel like although I've seen your stunning journey start from where it did, which was a gorgeous coaching business, and I know you come with really gorgeous like practical academic intellect as well. And from what I see now, which is a very conscious, feminine, heart-led offering, I would just love for you to explain how that evolution of your brand happened and commenced. And then second to that, also how or what occurred that helped you define your values, because I feel that the defining of, there's so many things we need to define, but defining our brand, our values, our message, whatever it is, but how did that defining process happen for you?
Yeah, sure. So when I began, and I like to refer to my business now as Create a Life That Is Beautiful, which is kind of my tagline, or it was my tagline. And so today, Create a Life That Is Beautiful is all about, helping people align with their purpose, embrace their feminine essence, and create a life that is beautiful to them. But when I first began, so in the beginning of 2017, I knew that I wanted to start a business. It was going to share what I had learned on my own personal development journey, all of these tools that I'd been using to change my life. And the way that it had changed was that I had always wanted to find my purpose since I was 17 years old. And I thought I'd found that through law. So I studied law, I worked as a lawyer, and I knew very quickly and at many times along the journey that I hadn't found it, that I wasn't living in alignment with what my purpose was. And so it was only once I surrendered, because my body physically gave up, because I was very much in my masculine, very burnt out, had long stressful days, and I ended up developing a condition which meant I had to focus for the first time on trying to fix that and also stopping. And this process led me into personal development, because I became really interested in the mind, in health, in lifestyle. And so I started to explore that journey, but without any intention. And that led me to discovering purpose. And so when I started Create a Life That Is Beautiful, I wanted to share those tools that I had used to bring more meaning, fulfillment, and enjoyment into my life, while at the same time being with the intention of helping others find their purpose. That was a really clear direction that I wanted to go. But I started off with something more general, which was creating a life that you love, enjoy, and are inspired by. And the name Create a Life That Is Beautiful just dropped in. When I was thinking of what the name for my website would be, it just dropped in. And I couldn't really justify it or explain it. I spent a lot of time after that trying to find another name, another tagline. And I asked a lot of people, and they were sort of like, oh, it's too long, and I'm not sure if that's really what you're going for. And for some reason, I just kept at it. But I didn't really claim the name. I sort of hid behind, I didn't hide behind it. I hid it away, but it was still the essence of my, I would refer to creating a life that you love, enjoy, and are inspired by, and a life that's truly beautiful to you. And I had the tagline, but it wasn't as predominant as it is now.
Sure.
And so it was only, I wasn't clear on exactly where I wanted to go with all of this. And I really wanted some direction. So I had started, I'd started coaching. I started a life coaching course because I wanted a formal qualification. Typical lawyer, we want to get qualified as well. So I went through this 7-month journey to also get qualified. And as a part of that, you also do a lot of work on what your niche is.
Right.
And I still was struggling a lot. I knew I wanted to help people find purpose. And if that was a niche, that was where it would be. But it still wasn't coming together. I knew there was something missing, and it was really significant for me. So what I did though was I was also having a lot of difficulty really standing up into, my full power and my full expression of myself and really using my voice. So I got a lot of help in learning to trust my voice. And so that was like a number of different workshops. I worked with someone called Gail Loveshock, and I really learned for the first time about also trusting the silence that we have. So I was finding that when I was going to speak, I wanted to have a podcast. That was always my intention. I'd have a podcast. I wanted to do videos, but then when it came to it, I would have nothing to say. I would go blank all the time. And this is what it was like with my brand as well. I was like drawing blanks. And so when I shifted through Gail's guidance to trusting that silence and allowing it to be there, and to stop searching for my answer. It was very difficult because we want the outcomes, but I allowed that to happen. And so I started to really look at how can I start to build a strong foundation? And this was coming into 2018, it's Capricorn season. It's all about creating a strong foundation. So one of my intentions for the year, after doing a lot of work around where I wanted to go for 2018, I decided I wanted to get that foundation really solid. And part of that was building a clear, consistent, and concise brand. So I started off with that intention, still wanting to figure out what the missing piece was, but I started to explore my brand through like colors, through font, through what it felt like, through if I were a song, what it would be. You know, started to explore in these, maybe the low-hanging fruit that was like helping me bring it all together. And also really feeling that I wanted to, my brand, my business, and myself, I wanted it to reflect my own personal brand. I wanted them to be really, you know, complementary, harmonious, and to really, I guess, share the essence of me. So I started off with these, just these simple things, exploring these, the colors, and then I started looking at, okay, getting images together. And, you know, when you get professional images done, you really have to go through a big questionnaire about everything you're trying to convey, you know, what archetypes, what color psychology, all of that sort of stuff, what message, where do you want to go with your business? And so I worked with Hayley Richardson, who's a wonderful photographer, to help me through that process. And it was really, and at the same time, I was also working on occupying space. So how could I be around other people and be able to maintain what my authentic voice was, even though I was in the presence of other people? And this was a really significant thing, because I launched a podcast that was all about finding your purpose, you know, and sharing stories. And, you know, Stacey's been one of my guests, and we spoke about her journey to discovering the work she does today. And this is the general theme of the podcast. And so this was me starting to use my voice and to get used to sharing it in a way that wasn't, you know, hiding behind my screen writing. It was starting to step up into that. But then this physical component of actually physically being in the presence of other people and still being able to honor where my energy was at, what my truth was another thing that I did through 5 rhythms. So I would go, it's this dance style, I would go, there's like 100 people there, everyone's, you know, at all different energy levels. And the whole point of it was to, even though there'd be partner work, was to maintain your truth. Even though you'd be dancing with someone else, like what was your energy, where is it at, and to really express your body. And this really helped me in getting comfortable with knowing the difference between when I'm sitting in my truth or when I'm being pulled by someone else.
Yes.
And so it was very significant, and also frightening at first. You know, it was a really big comfort zone I had to break out of my comfort zone. And the same with the podcast. But these steps helped me to build confidence. And then what was very significant is I stopped looking for the answer. And, you know, I gave up my search. Okay, I can't figure it out, so I'll leave it. And I allowed myself that space. And then, you know, one day the missing piece just dropped in again as a download. And I realized that what was missing was this piece about feminine essence and about feminine energy. And what's so beautiful is that my whole journey began with me moving into my feminine energy. So from that moment, and also all the other things I did to get clearer on my brand, and, you know, seeing your images really helps. I was able to like look at everything I write about through this lens, and it makes it, you know, so much easier then, because I'm looking at aligning with purpose, embracing your feminine essence, and creating a life that is beautiful to you. And everything just clicked into place. So that's been its evolution.
Wow, love this. I love this. I think it's really like so delicious and juicy and fun and enjoyable and pleasurable that the part that dropped in was where you started from. And so it was almost this gorgeous kind of, as you say, evolution, but in a way, this returning home to self. You've done all the work, as you say, you've stretched your corners of your comfort zone or box or or whatever it might be. You've searched, you've researched, you've gone at it with your academic through courses, you've played your role by stepping into your greater truth and vocalizing through a podcast. You've connected with other really inspiring beings, and yet a few things that I heard that I felt like were absolute like gems of wisdom, beautiful oyster gems, pearls of wisdom, is, as you say, that part of really honoring the silence, honoring space, but then, as I say, also being open to these intuitive downloads, which again, in regards to mindful living, it's about understanding that we are a holistic conscious being, and yes, we need to vocalize and speak our truth, but we also need to, the creating space for me, and what I'm hearing from you is that's creating room for these downloads, which is our third eye intuition. And if we keep just trying to blurt out, we don't allow that beautiful contrast between sound and silence. And I think, considering this beautiful interview is about the throat chakra, this wasn't even in our kind of movement through this interview, but it's just come through so quickly, just this idea of sound and stillness, and the fact that we are human beings, and in order for us to really be in our most, I suppose, productive and purposeful state, we need to be balanced. Wow. Yes. I love. Yeah, as I already know a little bit about your journey, and as I say, I've been able to visually witness it from its kind of conception through to where it's at now, and it's so strong. And as you say, I saw when you, and not, yes, we're friends and we chatted at the time because you happened to be in Australia, but to then see your branding images come out, and they were so you, and it was just, as you say, you could tell that they were intentional. You could tell that you had put thought, and that you had connected to your heart in order to really create what you created, and you'd done that because you really wanted to serve others. That's what you wanted to serve others from your most truest, authentic expression, is what I really, like, I could feel that from the photography. And of course that goes through to the beautiful photographer as well. But really, I feel that that's another version of our throat chakra. It's still our creative expression. It's still standing in our light. So it was really beautiful, really, really excited to celebrate you and your business. The expression has been stunning, and we'll definitely, of course, be speaking to people about where they can see this visual that I'm speaking about. But let's keep moving through. So I think you kind of summarized some of this idea. I want to talk about this idea of stepping into your true potential. So what I feel to ask, and as I say, perhaps I don't want to repeat ourselves, so maybe you've got kind of a one-liner or a really something specific that you feel to speak about. But how important do you feel defining your true message is within, say, even your personal life and your professional life, to genuinely live your true potential? So I suppose the question is about, where is that connection point between your message and living your true potential? And as I say, do you believe from your own experiences that there is a different message for our personal life and our professional life? I know you often speak about your own relationship in and around your business, and how that is connected to your way of coaching, because you have really called in your divine partner. And so I'd be curious just about this idea of messaging, how that aligns to true potential for personal and or professional.
Yeah, this is a beautiful question. Thank you. So I think there's two parts to this, and the first bit is, I think it's really important, which I did share through what I've my own journey, is allowing this space to be able to receive. So we want to know what our message is, because it helps us And this is the thing about purpose. Purpose makes things easier for us because it gives us the, about like boundaries to work within. It's, if some, clearly when you're clear in your message and your purpose, where something is aligning with that and where it's not. So yeah, and so, but to be able to get that, we need to be able to allow it. And that you mentioned about the creative cycle, having the silence and the time to receive, and that's what we're doing with creativity. We're receiving the idea, we're receiving the creative idea, like in Big Magic, what Elizabeth Gilbert talks about, and then we're trusting that call through our action. And we need to keep doing that, whether it's with, being guided by intuition or with receiving creativity and expressing ourselves creatively. So I think it's important just to note that we have to give it the space to allow. And this is feminine energy. This is feminine essence. It's something I talk a lot about. And then we need to also, as it's revealed to us, or as we're inspired to move forward and things become clearer and we get to figure out what that messaging is, then it's important to, I think it is important to have that and to act on it and to use it, because it really simplifies everything for us. Absolutely. So yes, there's those two components to it. And then the piece about personal and professional. So I think I wanted to be able to, when I was a lawyer, I felt like I was someone different in my job to who I was personally. And this created a lot of conflict for me, a lot of conflict. And I think this is something that a lot of people struggle with because they have to pretend to be someone that they're not. And so I think in our businesses and in our professional lives, it's really important that we get to feel like we are one person, one and the same person in both of these. This might mean, when we're around friends, we act differently to when we're in a professional setting, but still our core values are, they're not put into question through our work. So we're able to feel like a full expression in both our personal and professional life. And this is one of the beautiful things I think about being able to own your own business, to really have that freedom. And you can have that in a job, in any job as well, as long as it's the right environment. And if it's not, I would say to, try and move somewhere where it is, because it really affects us when we're hiding in our life. So, but at the same time, I think this idea of seeing our business and ourselves as one is, we need to move away from that idea of oneness as well for our own health and sanity. So sometimes this is a concept I've heard spoken about a lot, and it really resonates. Sometimes we project all of our personal fears onto what we create, which let's call that our business, because it's a creative expression. And so we create these products, these services that, should work on their own. They are separate to us, the product itself or the service. But then, so we create it and we're all excited. And then when we go to actually launch something or to offer something, we can then project our personal fears and insecurities of not being good enough and all of that onto whatever it is we've created. And I think that's really important to separate yourself from what you are creating, to see it as something that stands on its own. And so, yeah, can you see how there's that separation is important at the same time? And this really helped me on my own journey, because I started to look at create a life that is beautiful as separate to me. So I would be talking about what create a life that is beautiful stands for, what this community that I've created stands for. And rather seeing it as just me, it's all, it's me, it's mine, it is ours. It's come to me and through me, to me and through me. So it's out there, it's not mine. So moving away from that ownership. And yeah, so I think that's something really important that I've learned.
Wow, those words, it's come to me and through me. I'm really glad that you repeated that, because they're just really, really beautiful words that I've never really heard used with such really gorgeous resonance. about business. As you say, it's just taking it to a more soulful, heart-led, consciously led place that serves yourself and others. So really, again, stepping into this idea of creating a community through expression, through creativity, rather than perhaps kind of one-on-one, okay, that's one project done, okay, one-on-one, that's one project done, creating a bigger, more purposeful, meaningful impact on yourself and others. I love this. So your kind of big message is create a life that is beautiful for you, and you believe that every single person in every single country across the whole entire globe can be doing that for themselves in their current kind of place, exactly where they are, exact moment, just one step in front of the next, starting where they're at. And then really, starting to, I suppose, own their own messaging and their own branding, whether it is their personal or professional. Yeah, really, really gorgeous. I love that. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Okay, so next, I'd love to go into this. I feel like we've already touched on, very organically, we've kind of touched on like feminine essence and masculine. And in this last moment where I think you mentioned going into the feminine to kind of receive, which is a powerful message that a lot of people are still needing to hear more and more. But then there was also this idea of then you move into action. And I suppose you would agree that that's then it can definitely be throat chakra. It can also be kind of solar plexus, and that idea of taking your confidence and actioning. But would you say that that's kind of asserting more of a masculine essence?
Well, so there's a difference between action and inspired action. And so this is, I
talk about this as well.
This is the outcome that we're hoping to get by using our feminine energy and what I call our feminine essence, and combining that with our masculine. So if we're not using our feminine essence, which many people aren't consciously using or allowing the space because that's what it requires, so they're taking a lot of action, but it's not coming from a place of inspiration, and that's been, intuitively and creatively led. So when we allow ourselves first the space to receive the intuition, to the guidance, the creativity, then we trust it by taking the action, but it's inspired action. It's not just action for the sake of it. So it is masculine, but it's the masculine and feminine combined. It's the outcome that it produces when we live in harmony with both of these beautiful energies.
Love that. Love that. Again, just coming back to balance, sounding with purpose. I love that. Okay, let's keep moving through. I would love to hear your thoughts. As I say, we've spoken about masculine and feminine. I'd now love to receive your thoughts about giving and receiving and how those concepts combine. I think it's a really, really important topic to touch on, to be honest. So what I would love to ask is kind of by sounding out your offering or your service, what you have to give generously in this world, in this lifetime, with more clarity, do you feel, is there maybe even a personal example that you could quickly share? Do you feel that has reflected back to you in a stronger sense of receiving? So again, giving with more clarity, does that then reflect the receiving sensibility as well?
Yes, absolutely. And, anything that we're, with manifestation and the law of attraction, which is happening, whether we are consciously using it or not, whatever we're putting out into the universe, we're receiving back to us. And when it's unconscious, we're getting things that we potentially don't want in our life, or we might be concentrating on, the lack of things in our life. And so we get more of lack in our life. So I think it's too risky when we aren't being purposeful about, projecting and putting the call out there for what we actually want. And when we do, we get back what we've asked for. And that's important too. There's the giving, we give our services, we give our message, but we also allow ourselves to be able to receive it. And so when we start to call in these, like for instance, once I've refined my message, and especially this feminine essence, and a big part of that is about honoring our, feminine cycles, our menstrual cycles, the different types of women that we are all at the same time. And actually, and this is for men too, we're not expected to always be the same, energetically. We have different needs. We're changing, we're moving, just like the universe is, just like Earth is, it's cyclical. And so what part of that is we need to be able to, we put something out there, and then the universe says, great, you can have this. So for me, it was, okay, I want to work with people who want to align with purpose, who want to embrace their feminine essence and create a life that is beautiful to them. And so I've seen that come back to me. I'm being given these opportunities now to work with people who want that too. So they're my ideal clients. Whereas before it was more general. And this was the thing, I was trying to serve too many people. And even though you get so much by serving others, we all do. But this is different because it allows me, this is all a learning opportunity for me, my business as well. Every person that I get to see that's within my target client, my ideal clients, I get to learn and to be able to then, bolster my own offerings that I can be even better at what I'm providing others. So I've definitely seen it in the types of people joining either my community, listening to the podcast, a one-to-one coaching, that's being reflected back to me. But what's so important is I have to allow myself to receive it. And that is feminine energy, allowing and receiving. And it's something that is also harder for people to understand, we're less familiar with, because we're so used to being in our masculine, taking action, doing all the giving, but we can't allow ourselves to receive. So I think that's really important because it's both. We need both. And I've allowed myself to receive those people that I can be of best service to into my life and my business by also putting out the call and giving.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. I was really, really excited to hear your expression for this question. So, because as you say, it is law of attraction. So from an equation perspective, it makes perfect sense. But it's just so wonderful hearing yet another gorgeous being doing great work in this world, affirming. That's the really big piece for me, the affirming that yes, as this frequency goes out, the same frequency will kind of rebound or boomerang.
Match.
Match, reflect, come back to you.
Yes, reflect.
In often like greater quantities than,
yes,
multiplying. And that's really, it's one of the highlights of really coming in and owning your message and owning your expression. It's really exciting to hear, as I say, you speak about it in your physical.
And actually, sorry, one other point on that is when we put out our message and then we're allowing ourselves to receive, but in whatever way it comes to us. So if we're too focused on how things show up in our life, so it can only be a client who wants to work on X, for instance. This is the only way I can have this call met. That closes ourselves off to the infinite amount of possibilities there are to receive the call that we've put out. So I think that's also really important because, there are... You don't want to cut yourself off from something like really incredible that could happen if we focus too specifically also on how we're going to receive the call that we've put out. So that's also been it's really exciting. It's you put the call out and then you wonder, I wonder how this is going to be met. What is the universe going to bring me? And you stay really open to the possibilities.
Yeah, love those words. what is the universe going to bring me? Yeah, super fun. Okay, gorgeous. I think this next question is a big one for everybody to hear your lessons and learnings. But what was your biggest kind of, breakthrough learning that you personally felt you kind of worked through in that journey of sharing, getting to the point of sharing your truest essence? What was your biggest learning?
It was allowing myself the space to receive.
Yeah.
I've been working with different aspects of feminine energy throughout, my journey of 3 years in personal development, really just most of my day occupied in this space, implementing, learning. But it was this last piece of the puzzle, and it was something that clicked in once I did a theta healing training. So I'm also a qualified theta healer at the beginning of the year. And part of that was allowing yourself to receive intuition, to listen to your intuition, but you're receiving it from the universe, source energy, whatever you want to call it. And so I got for the first time this, that I was receiving, and that if I was receiving, I had to be allowing the space to receive it. And that's when it sort of started. And then since then, it was this, okay, we also receive our thoughts. What if we just trusted the thoughts that we had, that they're telling us something? We also receive our creativity. And all of this requires space. So it was when I stopped trying to actively search again for what my messaging was, what that missing element was, and I allowed myself the space to receive, it came so quickly and so just so clear. And it was everything. I'm now about to run a 4-week online course called Embrace Your Feminine Essence, and it's all about reconnecting you to your feminine energy. And that was within 2 months. I got this download, and I had a fully formed course all in my lap, just everything there. And this is what happens when you stop actioning your way to get the answers and allow yourself the space to receive. So that was definitely the biggest piece to all of this.
Awesome. Really, really cool that now you can, share that gem with others, and it's like a little Chinese whisper, and
yes,
you can then use that same wisdom. I love that. So I would really, we've touched on it in your somewhat intro, I suppose, but the first question, but I would, as you mentioned, your mantra or your business purpose is to really show people how they can create a life that is beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
I love that phrase, create a life that is beautiful for them, for you. And so I would love, over all of your teachings and all of your many versions of this idea around create a life that is beautiful, what would be your, again, one juicy piece of advice as to how people, if they're listening to that tagline and thinking, that sounds really inviting, I want to create a life that I love, what would that one piece of advice be on how people can start to tap into their own creative expression and start to really hone that for themselves?
Yeah, so when I called my business Create a Life That Is Beautiful, I didn't realize what the meaning was behind the create a life that is beautiful. Create is conscious, so that's great. But the beautiful is a type of feminine energy too. So that's really amazing as well, that I've been able to draw that link of why I even had that there. But so the one piece of advice I would have for anyone is to trust the call. Whatever they're being called to do, to really trust that, because if you are receiving guidance, and that can be through curiosity, it can be through inspiration, it can be through passion, it can be through any call or desire to do something, you need to meet the universe halfway by taking the action. So you trust the call and you take the inspired action, and relinquish the need for an outcome. Trust it by not needing to know where it's going to head, and you will be led in the direction that you need to be.
Gorgeous, gorgeous. I heard the words inspired action come through again, and I think that's really, as you say, so key. Trust the call. Don't take action when the call is kind of not intuitively there, but when it's there, trust and that's when it's like, feel into that. Where are you being guided? And then that inspired action piece. It's so, when it's laid out like that, it makes so much sense. And then it's that, as you say, that word of trust is what often in the physical realm, we as humans complicate it all, because perhaps we're not trusting, and so then we're like, what does that mean? I need to consult this person, I'm not quite sure, now I'm not going to do anything. And I love, as you say, it's trust, that if something is knocking on your energetic, or it's not even energetic, physical heart space, energetic heart space, energetic kind of intuition space, whatever. Sometimes it's I can feel it in my tummy. Sometimes it's there's this idea floating around. It's like, it's right there. Trust the call. It's a great message. Beautiful.
Yeah. And trust is feminine energy as well. So it is, it's one that's, the reason these are so hard for us to understand is because they're, abstract, they're subjective. It's something that needs to be experienced. And so, we can't necessarily compare our experience to someone else's. We need to understand, what intuition is for us and how we receive it, what creativity is for us and how we receive it, and also what trusting means to us. So it's something that, you've really got to, you've got to act on it and see how it goes, which requires trust.
Absolutely. Awesome. I think that we have given so many beautiful beings so much to go with and from, and to flow in their own direction, but you've really outlined a roadmap to which people can, certainly in their business, but I feel we've touched on personal as well, which is awesome, because as you say, they are interconnected. They're not in the same, but they are interconnected. And I really hope that this wisdom is a beautiful just guide. The purpose of this idea of create a life that is beautiful is really stepping into your own expression and your own personal power. So this will be a guide. It's never one size fits all, but I'm really, really so grateful that you have felt to share this evolution of your journey, and how really owning your message has amplified your whole entire life, yet let alone your business. It's been really beautiful to hear. One question I love to ask at the end of every interview is, what is your personal favorite energy body or chakra? And also, is there something in your own home, your own, I love to call them a soul sanctuary if they're designed with conscious intention and mindfulness, is there something that really brings you so much joy, and just every day that's something that feeds your energy, lights you up? I love getting a little bit of insider gossip about how people experience their own space and home and their own energy bodies.
Yes, this is also such a fun question. So in terms of my favorite energy center, for me at the moment, it's the crown. And that's because for me, it's opening myself up to receiving, from the universe. And I've really loved focusing on how I can open that up and, trust what's coming through. I find it really beautiful. I feel really connected as well to the universe and to, just everything around me through that energy center. So for me, that's my favorite at the moment. And also in terms of favorite, something in my home, I really love, and you can kind of see it up here, I have this picture, and it's a picture of a dove. And I didn't realize this. Lou, my partner, told me this recently, that it's the Holy Spirit. I've had it since I was a child. I loved it because it's a dove, and I always love dove because it's about peace and love. And for me, it's really important having this piece in my home because, you know, it's something that I've carried throughout my whole life, everywhere I've lived. But I think it's so incredibly beautiful that this was something I had as a 7-year-old child. You know, I've carried it around with me, believing I love doves. It's beautiful. It's about peace and love, but understanding that it's also the Holy Spirit. Really, and you know, this is all about intuition and feminine energy, and I think it's just so beautiful. And so I picked it up when I went back to Australia last time, so I didn't have it with me for 2 years, and I saw it and I thought, you have to be in my home. So I've brought it back with me. I also had all of my photos, my website, taken with it in my office, you know, the office that we set up.
Yeah.
And it just felt so special because it also acknowledges, you know, the inner child in me, but also this intuition and trusting and peaceful and loving energy. So it's really special actually for me to have it here with me and to realize that, you know, deeper meaning to it, you know, that I'd never ever appreciated before, but now it takes on this whole other layer.
Really awesome share. Wow. I love its journey as well, that it sat there for years. I actually almost, as you say, knowing that you kind of did your branding photos while you're in Australia, and that was when, you know, those branding photos have really allowed you to step into this full expression of certainly where you are in the present moment, but also what you're manifesting for your business moving forward, because you've really owned the personality of yourself. And as we've said, the messaging and the branding. And I love that peace dove was there for that kind of almost like new beginning for you.
Yes. Oh, that's such a beautiful reflection. Thank you. That it really has marked that next chapter.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, so gorgeous. And I just, you use so many gorgeous words that I really honor, and it excites me to hear people speak about their homes like this, like inner child. And we don't, sometimes we take for granted our memories, and it's like, yes, let's purposefully display those in our home so that they not only sit there as photos that are 10 years old in a frame that we never look at because we passed them 1,001 times and they mean almost nothing to us now, but let's really, you know, go back through the albums and pick out certain ones. And if it means getting them developed again in fresh color or black and white or doing it with intention or whatever it is, I love this idea that it's in your home and every day it inspires you. That's really what my interiors are all about. So awesome to hear that you've got a piece that does that for you.
Yes.
I would, Leticia, just love for you to end this gorgeous piece by telling our listeners, both your tribe, my tribe, how they can find out about you, perhaps connect in with you on your social media is a great place to start. And then also, I mean, understanding that our tribes are global, but do have an offering that they could perhaps see on your website or something like that, then please let us know more about what and where we can find out about you.
Okay, thank you. So, my website's www.leticiaringe.com, and you can follow me on Instagram at Create a Life That Is Beautiful. That's where I hang out the most. I also have a Facebook, which is at Leticia Ringe. But Instagram is my, you know, where I'm most active. So that's the best place to find me. In terms of my offerings, I do one-to-one coaching, so life coaching, and particularly about aligning with and showing up for your purpose, and on embracing your feminine essence. And then I also have my new online course that I'm offering from July. So you can check that out on the website, which is designed to reconnect you to your feminine energy. And also we go through integrating that with your masculine as well, because it is equally as important. And then other than that, I do, you know, I have my podcast. It's called the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I'm also getting more active on YouTube now. So that's Create a Life That Is Beautiful TV.
Oh, wow. wow, that's new. I've not heard about that yet. Awesome.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I would love to just reiterate for everyone. It is Leticia, and then Ringe, Ringe. So Leticia Ringe, and that is Instagram at Leticia Ringe, and then YouTube, Leticia Ringe TV. Go and check it out, everybody. Love that. Love it. And I can definitely say that Leticia's podcast is beautiful and really, really honouring human beings that are stepping into their purpose. So it was a pleasure to once be on there myself, and everyone should, jump on over there and lap up more wisdom from other beings that are equally in their own truest expression, bringing their gifts into the world. That's it's an added, definitely throat chakra offering that you have to share with all of us. It's so perfectly aligned to the throat. I love that. And just before we leave, if anyone would like to find out about beautiful, nurturing, soul sanctuary interiors that really bring your personality to life in a way that inspires you every single day, that is all available at Mind Interiors. So that is Mind Interiors, exactly as it sounds, at MIND Interiors, and it would be a pleasure to meet you. So we have had so much fun creating this, sharing, flowing with the feminine, and also activating with the masculine, and really talking about branding, messaging, and aligning to your true purpose and true essence, and really shining and showing up in your messaging. And just again, thank you so much, gorgeous. It's been such a pleasure. I am so grateful, and so much love all the way from Sydney to London. We are going to share a little bit of your sunshine, I think.
Yes, thank you so much, Stacey. It's been so beautiful to share this space with you today.
Brilliant. And to all of our listeners, thank you for your time. We send you so much love.
So much love.